Well, hello there. I'm going to talk to you now about Gaza, which is a nightmare, one of the nightmares in the Middle East today. And I'm going to talk to you in terms of, well, perspectives. Perspective from Israel, perspective from Donald Trump, but through the eyes of one of his advisors, and a perspective from Gaza, from inside Gaza. So these three perspectives are critical, I think, because we have a situation where the hostage issue is secondary. We are going to have a resumption of the war, perhaps one way or another. And so we really need to think about this very seriously. Indeed, because Gaza can't take the war again. It's too much. It's too much. So, Israel first. This is from a senior Israeli friend of mine. He's a guy who's advised me many times, senior in the independent of government, but pretty key figure. And he says, since the start of his second term, Trump has adopted an increasingly aggressive stance. According to a poll conducted by the Israel Democracy Institute, interesting people, by the way, and worth your time if you have time to look at that poll. Peace index, some call it, but anyway. 72.5% of Israelis want Netanyahu to resign. And 73% of Israelis want a continuation of the ceasefire with Gaza. Now, according to this senior Israeli source, the ceasefire will not be broken by Israel before the end of Ramadan. The end of Ramadan is Sunday, 30th of March, so it's coming up, rolling in fast. Donald Trump, U.S. President, has suspended all U.S. funding to Palestine, as you know. Germany has done the same, copying America, well, after the German elections. Meanwhile, a little side issue here, but it affects what you call non-governmental organizations operating in or out of Israel in any shape or form. Meanwhile, the government in Israel is talking about an 80% tax on all foreign government grants. The bill is at the committee stage in the Knesset. It will be held up by Passover. Passover is running in soon. But it will be, all these things overlap at the moment. Ramadan, Easter. Passover ends on Easter Day in the West. So, it will be held up by Passover, but it will be a big challenge when the Knesset resumes full action in June. Netanyahu is copying Trump and Musk. He is aiming at pushing out the professional gatekeepers like Israel's Attorney General, and Netanyahu is trying to get rid of him. The Arab plan is the key notion. The Arab plan is the key rational alternative to Trump's ideas. And that's the Arab League plan. Sisi of Egypt and the King of Jordan have both refused to take Gazans, though the King of Jordan did agree to take 2,000 Gazan children for medical treatment and was praised for it by Trump. Okay, well, this was the latest Israel view that I got from Israel. It's not earth-shattering, but wait. Then I spoke just a moment ago to Donald Trump's advisor, one of his advisors on Middle East affairs. And he's a guy I know. Met him, actually, oddly enough, in Iraq. One night's heavy drinking. He can drink me under the table. Anyway, one of Trump's team, I guess you'd say, somebody very close to Mr. Trump. And he's telling me exactly what Trump thinks about Gaza. He's very determined to end the Hamas presence in Gaza. I think his plan about emptying Gaza will work. That's emptying Gaza of people. I said, no, it won't work. Who's going to take them? Are you sure? With Sisi, he's talking about Sisi, the president of Egypt, with Sisi, if Sisi put them in the Sinai with tons of money, shed loads of money, his country is bankrupt anyway. If we want to be honest, it's either the people of Gaza out of Gaza, or it's Hamas out, or nothing. I don't see the reconstruction plan of Egypt, he means the Arab Initiative, the Arab plan, Arab League plan, is going anywhere. I don't see the reconstruction plan of Egypt is going anywhere. Do we want Gaza to go back to Hamas after 5 or 10 years of ceasefire? There'll be another war. Gaza was an Egyptian town anyway. Well, he means, Egypt occupied or held Gaza for a long, long time. After the British left in 1948, there was a couple of years of interregnum, but basically Egypt took Gaza and right through up until the 1967 war. Egypt administered Gaza. Trump made it clear the problem of Gaza is everyone's problem. Egypt basically stabbed Israel in the back. I'm just quoting you the words of Trump's advice. What does he mean by Egypt stabbing Israel in the back? He means the tunnels. Is Egypt have controlled those? I don't know. But that's what he's referring to, the tunnels into Gaza. People said the Trump plan is a crazy plan, but nobody could present a better plan. Turkey could take the Gazans. Qatar could take the Gazans. If Sisi is an ally of the U.S., well, is he an ally of the U.S. anymore? Sisi, the president of Egypt. Is Egypt an ally of the U.S. anymore, he asks me. I'm not sure. And the King of Jordan and the Queen every day making speeches against Israel. The environment here in Washington is very strong. When Washington gets strong, we do something. Well, I said, okay, well, if you're going to do something, then you could establish some sort of beachhead in Gaza and slowly, move forward on your reconstruction, cleanse the population of weapons, and make a rolling front line where you got everything behind it was okay, and you let people move into that area. And he said, well, maybe you could do some compartmentalization. This is the Trump advisor. Maybe you could do some compartmentalization in Gaza. Boots on the ground, the Israelis will provide. I think Israel will back us. He means with the Trump plan. I said, no, that's pretty doubtful. Boots on the ground. Israel's lost a lot. Israel, although the destruction of Gaza has been on an industrial scale, Israel has lost a lot. We're talking hundreds of soldiers on the ground in Gaza since the Gaza war. No, Israel is not going to have boots on the ground in Gaza long term. It's just not going to happen. And I said that to him, and I said, nor is the Trump plan of depopulating Gaza going to happen. You could move the Gazans to the West Bank, and you could do that. Search them as you sent them so that nobody took any weapons. Yes, you could do that. Of course, they don't want that. He said, then Abu Mazen, this is his response to my remark, he says, then Abu Mazen would be finished. I said, well, he's dead anyway. He's the Walking Dead. He's barely alive. He's the worst ever dictator, worst dictator of Palestine in history. Well, there's only been him and Arafat, to be fair, since the beginning. But there's no comparison, is there, between Abu Mazen and Arafat? Abu Mazen, he goes to the office, a quarter of an hour a day? Arafat used to live in the office. irrelevant, really, Abu Mazen. And there we have it. That's what the Trump advisor was saying. So I said I'd get back to him with some ideas. And I said I would talk to Gaza and get back to him with some ideas. I talked to Gaza. I mean, the Gaza Strip is 25 by 6 miles, 75 miles long by 6 miles wide. And if you take a couple of miles out north and south for buffer zones and a mile out, I mean, on the from the width of the thing, it's going to be a pretty small piece of ground. Here's the Gazan view from my friend, my fixer, my dearest friend in Gaza, the man I spend time with every time I go to Gaza, or we do when we take a delegation or we go. I haven't been for a little while, obviously. He said to me, I spoke to him on WhatsApp, yeah? The situation is very difficult, very, very bad. No water, no food. This is the latest for Gaza. My mum, my brothers, they have no place to go now. My house has been destroyed. The most important thing for Gazans now is to have no war. Inshallah, Israel will not resume the war. Now, I'm recording this on 16th of March. Now the Hamas delegation is in Cairo. Tomorrow they will be in Doha. Hamas has approved the new American proposal, but Israel will not. Israel wants... Now, then he talked about what the big sticking points as regards, not the hostages, as regards not resuming the war at some point, as from Israel. Israel wants to disarm Hamas. You got that? That's one issue. Israel wants to disarm Hamas. And, second issue, Israel wants to transfer 500 from Hamas, especially the Qassam Brigade commanders. Qassam is the fighting side of Hamas. Hamas is like Sinn Féin IRA. So you have the political wing and you have the fighting wing. Especially the Qassam commanders out of Gaza. Hamas has rejected any discussion on these 2 points, on the 500 senior Hamas people being moved away and on the disarming, the removing of the Hamas weapons, all of them. The two things that Israel wants for no war. Hamas has rejected any discussion. It rejects both ideas completely. So I said to my Gazan friend now, in view of the conversation with Trump's advisor, I said, what about foreign troops now? You have Arab troops. What about Russian troops or Turkish troops? I was thinking of, because Russians and Turks are tough guys, unlike Arab forces would be wishy-washy. He replied, for Hamas, it's not a problem if Russia or Turkish or Arab troops enter Gaza as a peacekeeping force. But, Hamas want Hamas to participate in the future of Gaza. You got that? Hamas want Hamas to participate in the future of Gaza. And without recognition of this point, they will reject everything. They don't want an Arab peacekeeping force without agreement that they keep a role in Gaza. Because, you see, the Arabs are not that keen on Hamas and would like to shift it out of the way. It's not just the Israelis. Understand, they will accept the Turkish. Russians are a different issue. But the Arabs, they don't want without agreement to a Hamas role. You should understand, this is the Gazan speaking to me, you should understand Hamas has not, and this guy is connected with Hamas at the highest level. You should understand Hamas has nothing to lose. All their homes, all the Hamas buildings, all their training grounds, whatever, everything has been destroyed completely. This gives Hamas more power to say no because there is nothing to lose. And then I said, yeah, but tell me more about this idea of foreign troops. So he came out with this, and this is interesting. With a Turkish occupation, talking occupation, not peacekeeping force, with a Turkish occupation of Gaza, like Donald Trump's talking about occupation by the United States. With a Turkish occupation of Gaza, maybe laying down their arms is not a problem for Hamas. You hear that? Maybe laying down their arms is not a problem with a Turkish occupation. Look, and this is him talking, look, a few months ago, Ahmet Davutoglu, the former foreign minister of Turkey, said Gaza should follow Turkey like it did in the Ottoman age. In other words, this former foreign minister of Turkey was saying, and all the Gazans were listening, even we weren't listening in the West, but all the Gazans were listening. He said he wants, Erdogan sees himself as the new sultan of an Ottoman empire, and this former foreign minister of Turkey was suggesting that that's the answer for Gaza. Let it be under Turkish administration. Interesting, anyway. So now back to my friend in Gaza. And this is him speaking. So were a Turkish army to come, it would not be a problem for them, Hamas, to surrender their arms. They couldn't do that with an Arab force, but with a Turkish force, they could even delete Qassam. They could even delete the Qassam brigades. Now that is really extraordinary. I mean, extraordinary. They could even delete the Qassam brigades. I just think that is unbelievable. Because delete the fighting force entirely. Because it's okay for them. Hamas and Turkey are friends. Turkey understands Hamas. Turkey's a Muslim Brotherhood. You know that. It's a Muslim Brotherhood government, Erdogan. It's a history of its whole political party. Anyway, because it's okay for them. The others, the Arabs, want Hamas out of the picture. The Turks will treat them fairly, like family. They would disarm completely for the Turks. Well, now there's an interesting point. Okay, I'm just going to finish up with two little quotes. Leave these thoughts to sink in, and you can think about them. But because we have to avoid war in Gaza, we have to. It's all that matters. There are two little quotes for you. One is from Raymond Williams, a Welsh socialist thinker. He's a Marxist, really, but he from Abergavenny. Must be dead by now, but because he was born in 1920. Has to be, yes, of course he's dead by now. But an interesting quotation. To be truly radical is to make hope possible rather than despair convincing. To be truly radical is to make hope possible rather than despair convincing. And if you want a shorthand for that, a dear friend of mine called Tony Klug, who has been a peacenik all his life and has struggled to work for peace, an analyst based in the United Kingdom, Dr. Tony Klug. Sorry about that noise in the background. Dr. Tony Klug, Klug. He said to me, these 5 little words, and I think they really need remembering by all of us. Despair is not a strategy. Despair is not a strategy. That's important if we're working, any of us working or dreaming or hoping for a better future for Gaza. Despair is not a strategy. Thank you. Thank you all. And we'll talk again. Bless your hearts. Bye.